It is Monday, January 17th in the NBA, and I'm back with my 4 best picks of the day, including 3 player props and 1 spread pick. Yo, what's going on, everyone? This is Austin from Calling Our Shot, and it's a big day because it is Martin Luther King Jr. Day in the United States. So we want to say thank you to all that he sacrificed for, and thank you to all the people that continue to sacrifice to this day. And so with that in mind, I want to do a little bit something special, and it involves something special to the Call on Our Shot community because, boom, our $20,000 subscriber parlay giveaway is here. And you guys helped us cross 20,000 subscribers. I know the payout's a little bit bigger than that, but we want to say thank you guys to all that you have done, everything that you've done to change the channel. Truly unreal, everyone's support. So in honor of this, we will break down each of these legs at the end of the video, but as usual, if this parlay cashes, we're giving away half the winnings to our random subscriber. And because in honor of MLK Day, normally I'd keep the other half, but I'm going to donate the rest of it, the other half, if it does cash, which is already hard to cash this as is, but if it does cash, I'll give away half of the winnings to a random subscriber, and then the other half to some charity associated with Martin Luther King Jr. Day. We can talk about it. If it does cash, you guys can vote on the charity of your choice. But either way, if you want to be in, if you potentially have a chance to win half of that money, I think over 11 grand, consider hitting that subscribe button. We'd appreciate it. Now let's recap yesterday. Again, I'll break down each of the legs after it. Let's recap yesterday, which was a comical day in the NBA. As our best bet of the day, De'Aaron Fox was looking solid. I think he had a chance. Nope, gets ejected early in the fourth quarter. DeAndre Ayton, our other player of the day, gets injured in the first quarter. And then Andrew Wiggins, he just didn't play too well. Only shot 10 times. I was expecting like 16 plus shots, and the Warriors got blown out. We completed the bad beat trifecta. It doesn't get worse than that. And there's really, you just have to laugh at that, right? You really can't control anything about that. But today we got a lot of basketball going on today. We start with the Pelicans versus the Celtics, ends with the Jazz Lakers, games all day long. And my last note is the Rams versus Cardinals. Best bets for Monday Night Football is live on the channel, linked in the description and at the end of the video. Also want to say, it's almost, we might not have another parlay like one of these that we'll talk about at the end of the video. So if you guys want some more parlays, make sure you click that like button down below. And obviously we're going to keep this video shorter, but I'll probably add another play or two as the day goes on. So make sure you check that pinned comment down below. Kind of like we added Wiggins yesterday, although that was a complete flop. But either way, let's get into it. Subscribe if you're new, click the like button, comment your best bet today, blah, 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 blah. Doesn't matter. We're getting into my favorite bet of the day. It is the man that we all love and know and respect, Darius Garland. We're taking his over 33.5 points, rebounds, assists, PRAs, minus 115 on DraftKings. Now, Darius Garland is the man, and he has cashed for the COS community several times this season, and we're calling on him once again. And you look at it today, the Cavaliers taking on the Brooklyn Nets, who will be without Kevin Durant for, I believe, the next 4 to 6 weeks at least. And look, Garland has been on an absolute hot streak, and he's the only point guard left for the Cavaliers. They got, obviously, Ricky Rubio, he's out for the season, Colin Sexton out, and Rajon Rondo has been out, who has missed the last 3 games. And Garland, he said, all right, fine, I'll hit this over in every single game without you, Rondo. He's had 50, 44, and 35 PRAs the last 3 games, and he will be in the parlay, so we'll talk about him in a little bit. But over his last 3 games, he's averaged 24.7 assist chances per game. Hint to that parlay, and he's been really grinding to become an NBA All-Star, something he's never done. And so the All-Star voting ends in, I think, a couple weeks, but still, I think he deserves it, and he's gunning for it. Now, Garland has played the Nets twice this season. He's at 35 and 40 PRAs in those 2 games. Ricky Rubio and other people were active, will be inactive today. He shot 26 and 27 times in both those 2 games, and he shot well below 40% from the field. So if he shoots a little bit better, he'll even go past this line, maybe even to the 40s to the 50s. Should shoot a little bit better today. I believe this game will be pretty close given both teams' injuries, and it should be a pretty high-scoring game. I believe the over-under set around 220.5 points. We love Garland. I think he has a big day. I think he fills up the stat sheet with points and assists. Take either one of them. I normally probably like the assist a little bit more. Either way, we'll talk about Garland in a little bit. Moving on to my next player prop before my spread pick of the day. DeMar DeRozan, over 39.5 PRAs, minus 115 on DraftKings. I lean his over in points, but I honestly think he might have a good chance of hitting his overs in rebounds and assists as well, which is kind of why I combined them all. Now, we look at the Bulls. They're taking on the Memphis Grizzlies today, and the Bulls are going to be without, deep breath time, Zach LaVine, Alex Caruso, Derek Jones, Lonzo Ball, Javonte Green, some Tyler Cook guy, a bunch of different guys, probably missed a couple. And so I think DeMar DeRozan is due to fill up the stat sheet. Now, last game versus Celtics, when they were missing Lonzo and Zach LaVine, 2 of them, more notable guys, he had 23 points, 8 rebounds, and 7 assists. So finishing 2 below what we need. We need 40 today. He had 38. So he fell short of the line. But I remember he did not have a lot of PRAs or points or rebounds or assists at halftime. This was a guy that was not aggressive in the first half. And then the second half, he said, fine, I'll take over and shoot a little bit more. And I think we'll get a little bit more of that today because this Bulls team absolutely needs it. And I think he changes and drives and shoots a lot more than what we saw in the first half. He only shot 20 times yesterday, which he's hit that. He went 7 for 20, so not a good shooting percentage. I think he gets back to it. Now, DeRozan hasn't really hit this over. Now, granted, he has a bunch of other guys normally active, but he hasn't hit this over since January January 1st, but I think he's due a pretty good matchup today against the Memphis Grizzlies. The Grizzlies will be without Dillon Brooks, which is awesome because he's their best perimeter defender. He won't have a great defender on him, DeRozan that is, and he's had success against the Grizzlies in the past when he's been shooting a bunch. Last game, you saw DeRozan have 13 assist chances, cashing 7 of them, so he's going to have the ball in his hands a pretty good amount, and he had 14 rebound chances, cashing 8 of them as well. You look at the other rebounders on the Bulls team, it's Vucevic, really, and I'm not scared of Vucevic going to grab some rebounds. I'd like to be worried about boxing out Steven Adams. You look at Vucevic's numbers against Steven Adams in his career, not normally that good rebounding-wise, so I think DeRozan will pick up the slack. This should be a close game, should be a high-scoring game. The Bulls, you guys don't have anyone else besides pretty much DeMar DeRozan, so I think he has a pretty good game today, and we'll ride with DeMar DeRozan over 39.5 PRAs. Lean towards his over in points the most, but I think assists is a decent bet as well. Let's move on to my spread pick of the day. You could probably take their money line, the Magic money line, or Magic plus 1.5 minus 112 on FanDuel. Now, take their money line if you really have to, but here's my statement. The Magic should never, and I mean never, be in a pick'em game against an NBA team, heck, even a middle school team. This team is terrible. They're 8-36 overall, 2-15 as a whole at home. They're 1-9 in the last 10 games. So why? Why is this a pick'em game against the Portland Trailblazers? I know the Blazers are bad, but they aren't this bad. I mean, this is the Orlando Magic we're talking about. This team's terrible. And normally in spreads in the NBA, you pick what doesn't make sense, and this line makes absolutely no sense. The Blazers will be getting back one of their stars, CJ McCollum, today, as he's finally, returned from that collapsed lung. So hopefully he's okay. But we've seen teams really struggle when their star players return from health and safety protocols or from injuries all season long. And I think the Blazers might be the latest victim. Now you look at it, their chemistry could just be way off. Now the Magic haven't beaten the Blazers since January 13th, 2017. They've lost 9 straight games, but that streak ends today as they will be led by Cole Anthony, the Chum Bucket, Chumo, Kiki, Only Franz Wagner, Robin Lopez, Mo Bamba, all the crew, and I think they're shocking the world and pulling off the win. Look, both of these teams absolutely ugly. I don't want to watch a minute of this game, and maybe Anthony Simons has a good game when he returns to his hometown where he went to high school. But look, the Magic, they're 4-13 against the spread at home this season. Well, the Blazers said, fine. Well, checkmate, 4-13 against the spread on the road this season. Something has to give, and I'm betting on the Orlando Magic to pull off the upset here. Granted, they should never, and I mean never, be this close to a favorite or even a pick'em in any game. I think the Magic pull it off and get the win. They're due one. They're 8-36. They got to get a win eventually. I think the Magic do it again today, and I'm betting them as my spread pick of the day, Magic plus 1.5. It makes no sense, and the ugly spread picks usually cash in the NBA. That's just how it is. Let's be honest. If you pick something that makes sense, like the Bulls minus 3.5 against the Warriors a couple days ago, you get absolutely boat raced. Magic are doing it for us today. Now let's move on to my final player prop of the day before we talk about the parlay. It is Trey Young, Ice Trey, the man on the thumbnail, over 35.5 points plus assists, minus 115 on DraftKings. Now, look, Trey Young, he's been absolutely he's been in terrible matchups the past couple weeks. Finally gets a good one. Now you look at the Hawks there without Bogdan Bogdanovic and Clint Capella today, and you look at they're taking on the Bucks, who are going to be without Drew Holiday, Brook Lopez, and Langston Galloway. So they got a bunch of the other guys back, but their perimeter defender, the best one, Drew Holiday, is out. Now I took Trey Young's over in points plus assists. You'll notice it's not a PRA line, and normally would probably lean towards over in points if you had to take it, but I don't want to count on Trey to get any rebounds. The difference is like 4 or 5, and I'm not counting on Trey to get 4 to 5 rebounds. I just don't want to do it. Now, he could chip in, probably chips in to get 7 or 8 rebounds today. It's not going to be me. Now, we look at it. Trey Young, this season, he's averaging 27.6 points per game and 9.3 assists per game for 36.9 points plus assists per game. Above this line, over his last 4 games, he's gone under in all 4 because he had terrible matchups. Once against the Clippers, he had 26. We know because we took his 26 points plus assists. We know because we took his overs that game, and he absolutely treated us wrongly. Another 2 games against the Miami Heat, he had 20 and 34. And I got to give credit where credit is due because Caleb Martin is playing out of his mind defensively. The other game was against the New York Knicks, who don't allow notoriously a ton of assists as a whole to teams. And he had, I believe, 34 against the Knicks. So finishing 2 below in 2 of those games. Today he stops that, and he has a big game against the Milwaukee Bucks, the team that eliminated Trey Young and his Hawks in the playoffs last season. We remember because Trey Young had 2 great games against him. He had a 35-point and 4 assist game and a 48-point and 11 assist game. And we remember the Hawks won those first couple games of the series, and people were like, what the? And then Trey Young obviously got hit with, I believe, a sprained ankle, just didn't end up returning to that series, and they obviously lost. Now, they've played once this season. Trey Young, he had an all right game, 42 points, 8 rebounds, and 10 assists, 52 points plus assists today. Now, all we need is 36. All I'm saying is Trey Young, he's perfectly capable of hitting this line and just over in points. We've seen him score 56 points earlier this month. We obviously know the Bucks are a team that allows the second most three-pointers made in the NBA. This projects to be a fast-paced game. The over-under set at 229.5. All I'm saying, I think Trey can get back to what we've been seeing all season long. I think he has a pretty good game. Let's keep in mind that prior to going under those 4 straight games, he had gone over in 10 of his most recent 11 games. I think he's due a pretty good one today. I think the Hawks might sneak out a win. Spoiler alert for a little bit because we're moving on into the parlay, and here it is. I know it's crazy odds, and it has a really, really low chance of hitting, but I'm just saying there's a chance, and we'll talk about each of these legs. Now, when I was placing it, it was $20,000 payout. Somehow it jumped right as I placed it to $22,000, so I guess we'll do it. Now, as a reminder, if the parlay cashes, we're giving away half the winnings to a random subscriber, so click that subscribe button, and then half the winnings to a charity, something associated with Martin Luther King Jr. So we'll talk about that after. If it cashes, we'll go crazy, and then we'll talk about that. Now, let's talk about the legs. The first one, Darius Garland, 14 plus assists. Like I said earlier, he's averaging 24.7 assist chances per game the last 3 games. Since it's over, he's at 14 plus assists in 2 of his past 3. And the Nets, they don't play a whole lot of defense, and they don't play a whole lot of interior defense. This is a revenge game for Jared Allen, the Fro, and I think he's just going to feed the big man, get some easy dunks and some easy assists. Now, moving on to the next leg, Trey Young, 30 plus points in a win. You obviously know I'm all in on Trey Young today. I think he has a big game, and that's why I would say take his points over if you don't have points plus assist line. But look, I saw a stat that the Hawks have not won a home game since November. So that streak ends today. No better day than on Martin Luther King Jr. Day. The Bucks should be bigger favorites than 4.5 points, and they aren't. Sportsbook's giving the Hawks a chance. I think they pull off the upset here. Now, the next line is a Scotty Barnes double-double. Now, look, I love Scotty Barnes. You guys all know we love him. And sometimes you just have to wake up and say, I'm feeling a Scotty Barnes double-double, because this isn't something he gets all too often, but he's certainly capable of doing so. You think about the matchup against the Miami Heat. They haven't played, well, Scotty Barnes hasn't played them this season, but you look at Pascal Siakam, likely will be guarding Bam Adebayo, so maybe Scotty Barnes sees a couple more rebound opportunities. He hasn't had a double-double in a hot minute, but I'm just calling my shot. I think he has a double-double today, and I'm hoping so, because he hasn't had one in about a month. He's obviously due for one. Now, the last leg, DeJounte, I don't care how to pronounce it, Murray, triple-double. He's had a triple-double once already this season against the Suns, and will finish 2 rebounds short of a triple-double again against the Suns. Look, the Suns just scored 135 points yesterday against the Pistons. Well, they made way too many shots there to do some negative regression today, missing a bunch of shots. That's just normally how it works in the NBA, just games of a roller coaster. You know, this is the law of averages. They have to miss some shots today, so maybe we see Murray get a couple extra rebounds. We obviously know he's capable of hitting the assists as well. We're at with him as a triple-double, because one of the parlays, we took a couple, I don't remember, 17, 18, 19, who knows which time, he did have a triple-double, and we had his triple-double that night. I'm counting on him to get one today. So those are my 4 plays of the day, plus the parlay. If it cashed, we're giving away half the winnings to a random subscriber. Have that Rams versus Cardinals best bets on the screen. I have a player prop, an over-under pick, and a same-game parlay dart throw on that one. I appreciate you guys for tuning in. Who knows, 25,000 on the way. We appreciate you guys all for joining the community. This has been Austin, and I'll catch you guys in the next one. Let's have a great day, and as always, if I add any plays, they'll be linked down below. Let's go get it, and let's make some money today. Peace.